right, hey guys. Some of you that are checking me out on the internet, that haven't actually met me in person, just want to give you a little bit of a heads up, kind of my testimony. All right, what led me to this point, why I'm a pastor. The moment that I said that, something just kind of came over me, and I screamed out, my God, help me." And when I screamed that out, I still get chills as I talk to you now. If you can see the goosebumps, something came over me, and I decided I'm not going down without a fight. Now, this was in 2003. People had cell phones, but not me. As I mentioned, I'm a cheapskate. So I had to crawl down to the barn. No one was around. As I said, I was the only guy hauling. The other guy was out in the field. So I started crawling. I reached out and I grabbed the grass in front of me. It was about 120 feet, 30, 40 yards, somewhere in there, down to the barn. And I started crawling to the barn. As I grabbed the grass and started pulling myself, it felt like I was sliding over like smooth glass or smooth ice. It was just very easy. In fact, even as I think back now, I don't remember much of dragging myself because it seemed very fast. I dragged myself down into the barn, and this is how, when people say, is God really omnipotent? God knows the choices you're going to make. He doesn't plan them for you. He doesn't say, you're going to do this. But he knows what's going to happen. Earlier that day, I had taken a bunch of lime bags. Lime bags are the white lime that you throw down in the barn alley so the cows don't slip. I had taken them and stacked them up underneath the barn phone in stair-step fashion, in service bar fashion, just for the fun of it. Thought it was neat. And I stacked them all up, and see, the barn phone is about 6 foot, 6.5 feet up on the wall, so the cows don't knock it off or you don't knock it off. However, my feet were all chewed up, so on my knees I could crawl up to the phone. I reached up and I could just barely on my knees grab the end of the receiver. I grabbed the end of the receiver, I tapped out 911. Now this is kind of the story of my life or whatever. Phone didn't work. I actually had to take the cord apart. Those of you that are old enough to remember the phones actually having cords, I had to take it around, jiggle it all together, put it back together, tapped out 911 again. Once again, how God knows your steps. My mother was on the rescue squad because this was not at the farm. This was at a neighbor, family friend farm that I was working at. My mom heard the 911 call. I called in. I told them my name. I said I lost both my legs. That's what I thought had happened, as I didn't really look down. The 911 operator was amazing. She made me so mad. She's like, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you." And I was like screaming at her. I'm like, "It's this address." And I told her the address. I told her the owners' names. She just kept me from going into shock because I told her one time I was tired, and she got me really, really mad. So as I was laying there, the 911 page goes off. This farm was only a couple miles from our place. My mom hears it. She comes flying down the road. She meets my dad, who's on his way home. He hauls milk with a milk truck, gets him out of the truck, flies to the farm. She got there, and when she pulled in right as the squad did. Squad pulls in, and they get me all packaged up, load me up in the squad. And I remember this. Steve Dilly, by chance, if you're ever watching this, you drove, and you are a horrible driver. I swore you hit every rubble strip and every bump along that road. In fact, I remember telling you that as I was in the back of the squad. So we drove into town, and as I told you, my wife and I had been together since we were 13. So my now mother-in-law was a nurse, and she was at the hospital in Boscobel. She was teaching a course, so she came right there. My father-in-law is also an EMT at the time, and he was in the second rescue squad on another call. He was the first one to open the squad doors and see me. And my pastor, Stan Pegram, was there at the hospital doing a visit. My father, my mother, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my pastor, all at the hospital at the same time. They were all there. Now, there's a lot of funny things here at the story. I tried the whole empathy thing with my father-in-law laying there in the ER. I looked up at him. I'm like, "Hey, Sam, now's not a good time, but you can't say no." I said, "Hey, can I marry your daughter?" He didn't think that was too funny, and I had to try it again later on. He said we wouldn't talk about it. But so then, this is what happens. I get med-flighted out. I spent 28 days in the hospital down at UW. They ended up amputating my left leg below the knee, and my right foot, if this is your foot, the auger took and cut off my fifth toe. What I saw was this bone just sticking out of my fourth toe. Cut it off and come real in tight to my heel. So I got about this much heel. and cut the outside of my foot off. If you saw the pictures of both my feet, you would think they could have saved my left, but it actually cut a chunk of bone off in my heel. So we chose to amputate my leg where we did to make a wonderful prosthetic. My right foot, they bandaged it all together. They actually took, back in the day when I had a six-pack, they cut the left side of it out. So that is my excuse why I'm no longer physically fit. It's not a legitimate excuse, but I'm using it. So they took the muscle out of the left side of my stomach. They built it along the outside of my foot. And unfortunately, that muscle flap died, so we lost it. One time during surgery, I had 8 different surgeries, and one of the surgeries was a 6-hour surgery, which all they did was debris my foot. They found 1 corn silk in 6 hours, and they were happy. In one of the surgeries, I actually woke up. I woke up to the surgery, and you're intubated, and I freaked out. I grabbed the tube, I ripped the tube out, and I remember as I sat up, they were trying to hold me down. I held the little blue pan. They held the little blue pan up to me. I started aspirating. My lungs were full of blood. I filled that thing up with blood, and then they knocked me back out. That ended up putting me in the... I ended up going to the pediatric ICU because the regular ICU was full, and I got a bunch of crap in my lungs, and that was probably the closest I ever was to dying, was actually from kind of that botched surgery, but things happen, okay? Not the end of the world. I survived. But here's where my story really takes this hard turn. So after they amputated my leg, okay, I was in that state of anger, depression, and feeling that God saved me altogether. It's a weird state. So I was laying in bed, and my godmother, Sherry Fisher, who has long since went on to be with the Lord, she brought me a Bible, which, like I said, I had a faith. I was going into the ministry anyway, but she brought me a Bible. And one night, out of a statement of I was very, very angry. I screamed out to God, and I said, God, if you are real, I said, show yourself to me. I said, I want to hear from you now. I was mad. This was right after they amputated my leg. That was extremely painful. I had a couple really bad days. And I grabbed that Bible and I just whipped it wide open. And I looked down. And I don't make this stuff up. This is the first thing that my eyes fell upon. It's Psalms 94:18. It says this, my foot is slipping. Your unfailing love, O Lord, supported me. You see that? I challenged God. I said, God, if you're real, I want you to talk to me. Now, if you do your exegesis, you'll understand this is David talking about stuff going on in his life. But God was saying, no, Lance, you listen up. So there's a piece of the story that I didn't tell you yet. See, when I was there, my feet were caught in the blower. So I tell people this, some people believe it, some don't. I don't care if you believe it or not, because I was there and you weren't. I have a view of myself. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I have a view of myself with my feet caught in that blower. I had fallen back. My arms, you're going to lose my arms with the green screen. My arms were stretched out. And I saw that view of myself from about 6 to 8 feet above me. Now there I am challenging God. God, if you're real, you speak to me. And he says, my foot is slipping. Your unfailing love, Lord, supported me. I'm 19. I don't know if there's any young guys watching this right now. I said this once, you're stupid. You're at the age you think you know it all, you don't. I was angry and mad, and I was almost more mad at God, because it's like, I challenged him, and he said, shut up, kid, here it is. So I opened up again, and now this time, Psalms and Proverbs in the middle of the Bible. Well, I flip it open again, and this is the first thing my eyes fall upon. The second time, this is Proverbs 3:26. It says, for the Lord will be at your side and will keep your feet from being snared. Why did my feet fall out? Shouldn't have. Took the metal pitchfork all the way through. Sucked my boots right off me. My cousin, that it was his farm, found my hat laying by the blower and one of my socks with some blood on it. My feet came out. At this point, I'm like even more angry and also a little bit more scared that God is really answering me. So I just drop my eyes, or I pop my eyes up to the next verse. It says this: then you will go on your way in safety, and your foot will not stumble. Now you can grab a concordance, you can Google it, how many times is the word foot in the Bible, and I think I looked it up one time, it was 90 plus times, maybe even more. But you look at the 70,000, I don't even know, 300,000 words there are in the Bible, the odds of my eyes falling upon the word foot are pretty slim. I actually did it with our youth group a couple times. I said, guys, I think there was 10 or 12 of them. I said, I want all of you to grab a Bible. I said, open it up. I said, I even challenged them the entire page. I said, see if you can find the word foot. Not a single kid did. I found it 3 times. Challenge God, God, if you're real, I want to see it. Boom. 3 times. You'll go on your way in safety. As I read all those words, I remember seeing myself in the blower. I remember screaming out, my God, help me, as I slid, and it felt almost like I was being pulled. Suddenly I realized that the Bible, that the thing that we have, that we call the Word of God, is a living word. It is a living word. Did David say these words years ago? Yeah, he did. But was God using those words to speak to me at the moment? Absolutely. Saw a meme the other day, it was pretty funny. It said, hey God, I want you to talk to me. And the response was, read the Bible. The person said, well, I want you to talk to me audibly. Read the Bible out loud. It is a living word. God spoke to me directly. Now, I talk about my testimony I use a lot of time at baccalaureate services because I talk about the 3 F's, okay? Remember, I was 19, and actually the first time I gave this was at the graduating class the year below me. And I talk about the 3 F's, the things that matter, is your faith, friends, and family. Now, the first thing I said is your friends, okay? I had amazing friends. They stuck right beside me. Those friends were established and rooted through a solid church. We had a wonderful youth group. We did mission trips together. We did camp. We hung out together, and we had that foundation, Jesus Christ. My friends were there for me all the way through it. I remember one of my buddies, I was so angry one night. I wouldn't let anyone buy me. I wouldn't let my mom buy me. I wouldn't let, my wife was about the only person that I would let even close to me. And I remember Adam came up one time, this is once I was out in the house, and he came up and I was mad because I lost my leg. I couldn't be deer hunting, this is that November time. And Adam Roth comes up to me and says, hey man, I said, Adam, get away from me. He says, no. I said, I don't want you here. I want you gone. This was his answer, and yeah, I'm saying this in church. Adam said, tough shit. He called up all of my buddies, and within about half an hour, I had about 30 of my friends. And your friends, man, the power of them, all built with a strong Christian foundation. They were there, they supported me. The second F is your family. I talk about your family is so important, okay? I have a family that was rooted in the church. I got a brother that me and him, we see things. If you want to talk hunting, we hunt together, but we are oil and water, okay? He wants nice deer, I want venison, okay? We're different. He's a cop, he's got a kind, soft heart. I'm a preacher, I'm more cold. I know, it's kind of crazy, I really am. Travis is about 6'4", big guy. Green screen adds 20 pounds and makes me look shorter. I'm pretty short. Travis wanted to give me one of his legs because we thought I was going to lose both legs. I was going to walk around like Bozo the Clown, have a size 14 shoe that he wears or whatever. Your family is amazing. My wife and my mom stayed at the hospital every single night. My wife at the time was in college going to Dubuque, Iowa. I was in Madison. She drove back and forward, Dubuque to Madison, Dubuque to Madison. You want to talk about love of a wife? This shows true love. One night while I was laying there in the bed, get a little descriptive on you here. My catheter bag, my pee bag dumped open. She is sleeping on the floor. She still stayed with me. Your family matters. Now here's the third F. Your faith. This is why I'm a preacher, okay? Your faith matters so much, because when I popped out of the blower, when that first thought in my mind was suicide because my life was over, what came out? It wasn't my friends. It wasn't my mom. It wasn't Emily. It was my God, help me. Your faith matters so much. It was Christ that pulled me through. Now, I'd like to say that that is the only time in my life where I've had any difficulty. You know, God can take these things. I lost my leg. Big whoop. It's a leg. Anyone out there that's missing an arm, the old conversation, what would you rather lose, an arm or a leg? Guarantee you, a leg. It's not that bad. Lost a leg. I wanted to play football. Couldn't play football in college. So this happened in September. August of the next year, I went to the University of Dubuque. I was moving into the dorms. A wrestling coach came in by chance. He said, hey, wrestlers in the room. And this was accidental. He was in the wrong room. I said, yeah, I'm a wrestler. He goes, we'll practice tonight at 6. I looked at Emily. She was moving me in. I'm like, what do you think? Should I try it? And know that I had just got my leg cut off. I actually cut my leg off in October. So it hadn't even been 10 months since they cut my leg off. And my right foot was still all mangled and healed up. So what do you got to lose? In 2 years, I was a walk-on. I was a captain of the team. I wasn't that great. I was a 500 wrestler. I got to wrestle in Las Vegas twice. I got a bunch of amazing buddies. Some are probably even watching this sermon now online. Get to have an amazing experience that I never would have had if this accident wouldn't happen. And man, you want to talk about the ministry that I have because I'm losing a leg? Everybody knows Lance Sweater. And why do they know him? Oh, he's the one-legged preacher. It's true. Can't remember my name, but oh, is he the one that's got one leg? Yep, that's him. God can take these things. Now, I wish I say that that was the worst thing in my life. Everyone has a story. You got a story. I got a story. Joe's got a story. His is more of a comedy. But anyway, we all got a story.